That's just because you're old and you got no blood flow.
That too.
I'm keeping that in the podcast, by the way.
I will kill you. I will.
Episode, huh?
I will share your thumbnail out.
Do it again.
I will share it out. The
I
grumpy
saw,
man,
I saw that and I look like Angry Dave.
Angry Dave.
Yep, like when you lost my socket in the woods.
Yeah, whatever.
Podcast 67, guys. I'm keeping all that in the podcast, so just so you know, it's podcast 67.
Oh, jeez.
Somebody will find it funny.
Someone will find it funny,
Yeah,
or that other guy will say that we're not ready.
we're not ready.
We're not ready. We're never ready.
Oh yeah,
Al-
we're never
al-
ready.
Always fooling around.
I'm always fooling around. Yep. So we got a few discussions tonight, and just a couple things to talk about. One may get me fired up a smidge. But other than that, it's a pretty laid back, peaceful podcast here,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're
Mm.
grumpy.
I'm always grumpy.
Chris is grumpy again, guys.
Yeah. I got too much stuff going on.
I hear you. Okay, so why don't we just get a couple things out of the way here, real quick, and then we'll jump into everything. I leave tomorrow for a consulting visit in South Central Virginia, and it's 300 acres. So I'm gonna be down there for 3 days.
Hmm.
And instead of getting a hotel this time, I booked an Airbnb, and it was cheaper than a hotel. And I get an entire house that it's a cabin that sits on the water. I get an entire house to myself.
Hmm.
No hotel. I ain't got to deal with a hotel or nothing. Best thing ever. So I'm
See,
on these extended consulting trips, more than one day. I'll get a hotel. If it's just one day or something, I get a hotel. But if it's more than one day, I'm going with these Airbnbs.
so do you like pack your own food for that or what?
Yeah, bring your own food. They provide the towels, the pots and pans, the grills, the laundry detergent, like everything.
Huh.
You just have to bring food. And I like it because usually if I'm consulting or something for a day or two, I'm eating, Wawa or Sheets gas station food.
Ooh,
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Now, like today, I went grocery shopping. I'm taking my own food with me. They got a grill there. I can grill food, chicken, whatever. I can cook all my own food. So
Huh.
Airbnb is going to be where it's at for these extended days.
Yeah.
And it was 30 bucks cheaper a night
Hmm.
than a hotel. So
Well, in a week or so here, I'm going to be going down to, and you know the guy. Remember Chris, the state cop?
yeah,
We talked last night. I'm going to be heading down his place next week here. He's on vacation for a week. When he gets back, we're going to hook up and go down, check out his property. He's got a new chunk there. He wants to show me that we didn't look at last time when we was there.
that's the one, the prop or the guy we planted for, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Hmm.
all right, that's cool.
Yep. So I'll be doing that next week about this time, probably when he gets home. He's visiting his son.
Nice.
So that's what I got
Um,
going on.
yeah, that's cool. Uh, and then as everybody had watched my YouTube video, I lost my drone. So
Yeah, you didn't even tell me. I found out in the comment section,
yeah,
and I was going to
so
be a jerk and write some stupid stuff, but I thought no, because I would be highly upset if I lost my drone.
yeah, so
So I was
I was at
nice.
the farm last week and I did some cutting, which we'll get into at the end of this. But um, I haven't flown my drone in 2 years, and it was very expensive. It was well, I shouldn't say very expensive.
So it was operator error.
Well, not this time. Uh, I paid $800 for the drone, $800, and it was a good drone. It wasn't nowhere near top of the line, but it was a DJI drone. Took amazing video, stability, like it was smooth video, everything. Haven't flown it in 2 years. Well, I decided, I said, man, I got to get back into aerial videos and stuff like that. So I took it with me. Now, all I wanted to do was take it over the woods and get like an aerial view of where I was cutting at to explain it better in the video. Well, I I started it up, connected to my phone. The battery said 99%. I was like, good to go. I took it up, straight up. I started flying it real slow and I was recording the video. I was taking it back, take it back. I did what I had to do. I went a little bit further. Turned it around as it was coming back. I mean, not that far. It was coming back. The battery went from 99% to 1%. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, I'm freaking out. I got full throttle trying to come back to me. Nope, it started landing. It was going down, down, and I could still steer it. And I tried to steer it in a. You can see in the video where I tried to steer it into an open area in the woods. No, it lost before it crashed. The battery it fully died, and these things have GPS. So I literally tracked it. GPS. I looked for hours.
Hmm.
No drone. It's stuck in a treetop or something.
Oh my.
So, long story short, that drone is gone, and I had to buy another drone. Which is funny. When I bought that drone, drones were really expensive. The one I got now is an upgrade from that one, and I only paid $300 for
Oh, so it's way cheaper.
it. Way cheaper.
Hmm.
Which I haven't flown it yet. I'm gonna take it with me on a consulting trip and see if he'll let me take some aerial videos. I got to talk to him about it, but
That's
um,
cool.
yeah. So um, let's jump into it.
All right.
You had a topic tonight. You saw a bunch of people talking about. So what is that?
Yeah, we see. I was looking around the internet and I seen uh, some folks talking about signs that they have too many deer,
Mm,
and one of the things I just read tonight, uh, a local a local paper reported that Pennsylvania has killed in 2 consecutive years now over 400,000 deer in a season.
each season.
Each season. So
Hmm.
that's 800,000 deer killed in 2 years.
Hmm.
Now, we're looking like we got a critical condition here. I mean, no wonder you're having all these collisions and things, and, you know, insurance companies are paying out all this money. Obviously, we got a big uptick in population happening here, an explosion. And I think a lot of it happens to be because, the younger generation's not interested anymore and the older generation's dying off,
Right.
you know? And I don't think, I think there's a lack of people hunting, but yet they're saying we're killing more and more deer. How is that possible? Well, the population is coming up and people are getting a lot of licenses, I believe, two, three, four, five, six, seven doe tags or whatever, So they're saying we're killing a lot of deer, but you know, but you can drive down a road or something, and you don't very rarely see other people hunting, you know.
Yeah, I've
Minimal.
noticed. Yeah, I've noticed that too. Where in PA, I mean, where my farm is, I have to pass public land,
Hmm.
and very seldom do I see people there.
Yeah. I mean, I,
Um,
I I don't know. Maybe it's just area specific, and maybe they're slaughtering them in other places, but I'm not seeing, like, I'm not saying they're lying, but I'm just wondering where these statistics come from sometimes,
mhm.
uh because it just doesn't seem to be jiving out. I mean,
Well,
one minute the game commission's crying saying that, we don't have any people hunting anymore, and then they turn around and say we've got two record kills 2 years in a row. How is that?
so I just did a simple Google search, and it's saying there's 1.5 million deer in PA,
Okay.
and it says there's an estimated 1.5 million deer, about 30 deer per square mile, which is pretty average. Um, yeah, so 1.5 million deer.
All right.
That's estimated. Um, I don't know where I was going with that, but I just
Well, so we posed a question.
yeah,
How do
right.
you know how many deer you have on your property? I mean, without doing a survey,
Yeah.
or a thermal drone, count or something. But what's the signs that you have too many deer in your area?
Well, real
What do you
quick,
think?
I wanted to touch on something real quick before we get into that. Is that the numbers that these guys that they come up with? I don't think they're accurate at all. And the reason I say that is because in Maryland, people play the system. So what happens in Maryland is when you buy your license, you automatically get a a buck tag and doe tags. Most counties in Maryland there is unlimited does. You're allowed to get a second buck tag, okay? But in order to kill your second buck, you have to kill two does. So what people do is they shoot a buck and then they call in because it's a phone system. You call in a doe the next day, you call in a doe the next day, and then boom, even though you didn't kill a doe,
Right.
all of a sudden, boom, you kill two does, you can go buy a
Yeah,
second buck tag.
they just fraudulently say,
Right.
"Hey, I killed my 2 does, so now I'm going after my
Yes.
second buck."
So they're getting
Gotcha,
these numbers,
gotcha.
and all of a sudden, okay, that's two does killed. No,
Mhm.
it's not. But how many people are doing that?
Right.
And how is Pennsylvania getting these numbers? Are because you know that they're going by licensed sales, but then in Pennsylvania, obviously, if you kill a deer, you have to you're
You have
supposed
to
to
report.
report it,
Yeah,
right?
yep.
So the numbers, I believe, like people aren't, not everybody's truthful, but I don't think the numbers are accurate at all.
Yeah, I just wonder, you
Yeah,
know? I mean, sometimes I question it, just like the bear numbers too, they're always saying it every year. They're like, "Oh, record kill," and it's like, wow, how are they figuring it out,
right. Yeah,
I
there's a lot
mean,
of variables, I guess.
I don't know. But anyhow,
Yeah.
so what's some signs you think that we've got too many deer in our area?
Well, right off the top of my head, I would say um unhealthy, skinny looking deer.
Okay.
Um and I've noticed that some areas in Maryland have it. When you start getting um in areas where there's a bunch of houses and things and they tear out woods and they build houses and it crams all these deer crunched
Hmm.
together,
Yeah.
you start looking at the deer and they're just scraggly looking.
Yeah.
The ribs are showing. Well, in areas that don't have that situation where the deer per square mile aren't say above 30 or something, 25, 30, those you don't see the ribs. So there's a clear indication with the ribs showing. And I bring that up all the time and I don't really, and honestly, I that lit my brain up at the old farm when that first year that because in Maryland, the areas that I've hunted my entire life, I've never seen deer that the ribs were showing.
Right.
At when I got that lease at the old farm, I was like, "There's something wrong with these deer." I was like, "They're all the ribs are showing."
Right.
And when I started walking the property, I'm like, "There's no food."
Nothing here.
And when I
Yeah.
started putting trail cameras out, I think I showed you, but they were eating pine needles,
Hmm.
which is a low on the totem pole for food source. But yeah, I would say just like looking at the deer wise, it just fit the physical appearance. If
Yeah.
you see ribs showing, there's something going on.
Okay. So in my area, something a physical attribute that you can actually go out and walk and see is the high browse line.
Hmm.
I mean, the browse line's 6, 7 feet tall,
Hmm.
and you can see through the woods for a long distance. Uh, anything that's palatable is browsed up real high.
And they're getting on their hind legs and getting stuff.
Hmm. Yep, that's one attribute here, and that's hard to rebuild. We had a couple people ask, "Well, how do you build your browse?" Well, that comes down to cutting trees again and getting sunlight down, and
Hmm.
allowing stuff to sprout up.
Managing your forest.
But I hunt public land, so I can't go do that.
Hmm.
So when
You got to find it.
yeah, so you got to really go around and scrounge, and maybe find an area where a storm went through and knocked down, some windfalls or something, knock down a bunch of trees or something like that where it lets light down, and then you get all that scrubby stuff growing up,
Hmm.
that type of thing. But that was something I thought about. you know you got any more you can think
Yeah,
of?
I mean, yeah. again, example, the old farm when you were scouted too, is that that place did have a select cut like
Mhm,
5 years previous to us hunting it.
mhm,
Even then, it was still closed canopy a little.
mm,
They didn't take a whole bunch, but there was woody regeneration coming out of the ground, but it was lip high.
yeah,
All the deer they were consuming everything they possibly could.
right.
Um, and then if you have, for instance, if you have like if you have like a bunch of honeysuckle on your property or autumn olive or something, and they're eating that, they're hungry, dude.
Yeah,
There's not because there's higher quality stuff that they can be eating, but when you're hungry, when I get hungry, I get angry. I get feisty.
he's
Like I
hangry.
Yeah, I get hangry. I'll eat anything. And that's how deer are when you're freaking hungry. I mean, what deer eat what 4, 5, 6, 7 pounds of food per day? I mean, you got to do something. And if you look across the country, the limiting factor is unmanaged forests. Everything's closed canopy. There's no sunlight hitting the ground. Um, you got to have food, and it starts with. I mean, you can use food plots as a supplemental program, but the base of it starts with managing the forest.
Another sign around here, like where I'm at, is all the deer stick close to the houses and the camps.
Hmm.
And because not only is there some structure and safety there, and numbers too, because they seem to herd up around here like that. And but what they do is they rummage our neighborhoods at night, for anything you've got, plants. And right now, all the flowers are trying to come up. They're going along, clipping
Right.
off all the tulips and
Yep.
hostas and stuff, in everybody's yard, and eating their shrubs and things. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, so they're sticking tight. They know there's food here, so they're hanging out. And if I think if numbers were lower and they weren't running in these herds and things, they would be more dispersed, and they wouldn't be putting such a ponding around these houses and camps, eating all the ornamental stuff.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. The most scarce time of the year for deer is really, December, January, February, March. That's going to be at least where we're at. That's a limited. You got to limit 3, 4 months of limited food. You hit March, end of March, April, things start greening up a little bit. Like here, you drive down the road, it's always your it's always your honeysuckle and all that stuff greening up first. Then you see your maples starting to bloom out. But I mean, obviously deer can eat them, um but that's what you usually see is your honeysuckle and all that stuff greening up first. And then okay, things are greening up. It's just a matter of time. Deer will have more food in the next few weeks coming up.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
getting to be that time where things are
yeah.
going to start popping, and the fields are starting to fill up around here right now. Because
Hmm.
they can tell things are getting ready to go. You
Oh
know.
yeah, like the farmers and stuff around me, all the winter wheat, rye and stuff, the cover crops, they're green as could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's time where they're going to be having food. But when you're looking at your hunting property, you got to think about those 3 to 4 months window. How can I fill that gap
Hmm.
of food? And do you physically have too many deer, or is it that maybe you have a bunch of properties around you and you improved your property and you drew in these deer,
Right.
and then they're just you know uh devouring everything on your property,
Yeah.
which gives you the appearance of too many deer. It's not that
Well,
there's too many deer within that square mile.
it's
It's
just
just
the only place to come eat.
right. It's the only place to come eat.
Kind of like the situation you got going on at your place. You're getting tons of pictures right now
Hmm.
in your leftover food plot, because the farmer field 30-40 yards away is dead. He
Dead.
sprayed it, plowed it. It's it's just an oasis of nothing,
Mhm.
and you still have some leftover stuff, so they're piling in there.
Yeah, and I think that's a good example is that like I said, that people should think about is, these agencies and these biologists and stuff, they come up with, okay, a healthy deer herd or a healthy number per square mile is say 25 to 30. That's usually what you typically hear, and that's per square mile. Okay, well, there's a lot of variables in there. Some square miles may be able to handle more because the forest is managed better and there's more food. So, just because you have 50 acres and you're seeing all these deer on your property, well, you're probably the only one in that area that's doing habitat improvements. So you're sucking in these deer.
Hmm.
So it gives you this appearance of too many deer. And if that's the case, then either you have to shoot more, get some neighbors on board to kind of disperse them a little bit,
Yeah,
improve your timber a little bit so they don't devour your food plots. There's so many variables in all of that stuff.
yeah. I've been talking to my neighbors and asking them to shoot some more does,
Hmm.
because you know we've when we do, it seems like the deer are making rounds, kind of like the turkeys do. They come around and then they're gone for 2 or 3 days, and then they're back. But when they come around, they bring all their cousins and uncles and aunts with them. Man, I'm telling you, they you see, you know, anywhere from 6 to 9 deer all huddled up together.
Are
You
you
know,
talking neighbors on your side or the other side of the road?
both.
Both.
Yeah, I was trying to talk with them all and seeing if they would, be willing to shoot some more does, because I mean, we the ratios pretty out of whack right now. Uh, so yeah, I was trying to keep open communication with the neighbors. See what they would want to do.
Hmm.
I mean, if they don't want to do it, oh well. I'll do my part. Kill as many as doe tags as I have. You know.
I need to. I think this year I want to try to kill those, get TJ to kill those, and I might even have to get somebody else to come over and pop a couple if I can find somebody to come
Hmm.
up and shoot a couple does. Maybe, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just
I mean, we just.
you got to balance it the way you can. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love sitting in my tree stand having 25 deer in front of me.
hmm
That's great because I have enough plot and field to support them. So I don't care. But I do have a lot. And
hmm
if they're not on the property I'm managing, where are those 25 deer going elsewhere and demolishing? You know,
hmm
they're
hmm
ravishing someone else's property if they're not here. If I wasn't feeding them, they're out ravishing something else. So
yeah,
I
which
mean, I don't mind feeding them.
Yeah, which is a good point because you're seeing the concentration of them. If your food plots and stuff weren't there, those deer would be dispersed. They'd be probably separated.
Yeah,
You have three over there, four over here, three over there. They wouldn't be
yeah,
concentrated. So
yeah, and
it's
that's that kind of that upsets a couple of the neighbors too, I believe, because you
they'll
know
live.
they're not seeing as many deer on their little patch of ground.
You made them mad.
Yeah, well,
They'll
they'll
get
get
over
over
it though.
they'll
Yeah,
get over it. Hey, I'm making healthy deer,
hunt your
so
own state.
so when they do come across their land, they'll have one that they're not looking at rib cages.
Are you excited about upcoming bucks this year or what?
I'm always excited about upcoming bucks. Heck yeah!
You should have some good ones.
Oh man, I not only did I have a deer problem, but so I say I have a doe problem, but when archery season came, it was ridiculous. I had a buck problem. It was silly. I mean, I've never hunted an area where and I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, but it when I was in the tree stand, I had multiple bucks in front of me, up and comers, nothing shootable, but I had so many bucks. I had more buck sightings than doe sightings. When I'm saying I had 15 deer in front of me or whatever, you know, I had 10 of them were buck, and only 5 doe, and it's like, what is going on here?
You have a
Because
doe factory.
usually it's the opposite.
You have a doe factory.
Usually you have the doe factory and you have 10 does and a couple of bucks. Last year was just insane. So
Buck factory.
if all those bucks made it, which I'm sure 99% of them did,
Probably.
oh my gosh, there should be it should be a buck factory again this year, which
Well, now you got some
I'm
cell
excited.
cams. You got some cell cams, so
I'm excited.
cool to see what's over there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to get some of those lithium trays too,
Yeah,
for at least 2 of them, so I don't have to keep running out and replacing batteries.
right.
But that's another way to tell if you've got too many deer. Get yourself some good cameras and get out there and take some inventory.
Hmm.
How about it?
Yeah, do it.
You're a camera addict.
I am. I just pre-ordered another camera.
Silly.
Yeah.
The guy's an
So
addict.
a lot of people think we all get free stuff, but I buy stuff. So
No one's buying me them lithium trays at $50 a pop.
nobody's buying me the what are they called, the Nimya
Yeah, them
lithium
batteries.
AA
Oh,
batteries that I just bought like 6 packs of them. Nobody bought them for me.
yeah. What was they?
Um,
$45 for 24 of them.
38, I think.
Is that what they
$38.
were?
I think
Man,
so. It's
it's
crazy.
steep. Steep.
Dumb. Um, but I bought I pre-ordered, I should say, the new stealth cam. Uh,
So it's not out yet then, or
no, I think it comes out early summer.
okay.
Um, but it takes 360 picture video. So it's got a lens all the way around it. And I guess it'd be good for field stuff, but you can see it all directions.
Yeah.
So I ordered that and a solar panel.
Hmm.
That way I can stick it somewhere out in the field and get
Yeah,
360
that'd be neat.
picture. Um, so the last
You could see them coming to steal it.
well, yeah, yeah, exactly. But I could see. I think it'd be helpful to help. If somebody's struggling, okay, well, where's the deer coming from? Well, now you got a 360 camera, and you
Yeah,
can see where they're coming from.
right.
I'm just curious. I never had that camera. I don't even know if they've made one before, but this I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, if it works, it'd be pretty cool. Like you said,
Yeah,
you can see the approaching deer.
yeah. And it
Hey,
wasn't
where do I want to hang my tree stand? Well, they're coming out this corner. Okay.
right. It wasn't terribly expensive either.
Hmm.
It was like 100. It was $154.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff's coming down. I
It
think
is.
there's
It is.
such a market. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much competitiveness right now, I think.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
good though. It brings the prices down.
Yeah. They got to be competitive. I know the cell plans come down too every
Yeah.
year. They'll get a dollar cheaper, and you have to. You have to be competitive with it.
Yeah. I've seen
Um.
some as low as $3 now.
Yeah. Yeah. They're getting low.
you know, even, Tacticam, you can get one as low as $5.
Yeah.
So
I think stealth's the lowest you can get is 5 as well. Um.
okay.
But yeah, let's jump into this last part. And I was telling you about it before we started this,
Hmm.
but over the weekend I went to my property and I cut trees,
Yeah.
and it's on the south side, south facing slope, and it was back in a bedding area that I cut in 2 years ago. Well, there were some beech trees up there, fairly large ones that I cut on the lower side, and people that watch the video know what I'm talking about, but it was on the lower side below the highest point of where the bedding area was. Well, I wanted to cut that to get more sunlight into that bedding area, and also made the bedding area a little bit bigger, and I cut trees down below as well. But my main purpose was to get more sunlight in there into the ridge top, and then also main focus was beech trees and maples, and I cut the maples, flush cut them, and the beech trees, because I wanted the stump sprouts. Because back in that timbered spot in that ridge, a lot of the bucks run in that area during the rut, and I have a stand back there, and it's high activity during the rut time, and um, also I wanted to increase the food. So, and if you talk to guys, um, and this is where I might get a little fired up. And it refers back to 2 podcasts ago when I gave the Mr. Miyagi speech. If you talk to, say, for instance, Grant Woods, he'll tell you he doesn't cut the trees down. He hack and squirts them and kills the tree standing because he doesn't want to deal with the regrowth of browse, of woody browse. He lets the tree stand, kills it by hacking, squirting, and just allows the sunlight to come in, and then he burns it. Right. Well, he's out in Missouri, okay, in a warmer climate, technically. Um, and that's what he does. Okay. He doesn't want to cut the trees. Well, that is his way of doing it. It works for him. That's
Yeah.
what he does. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Hmm.
You get another guy, such as I don't know, I don't know, but you get another guy, and he'll cut the trees because he wants the stump sprouts.
Hmm.
Then you get another guy that all he wants to do is hinge cut. So each person has their own way of doing it. And I posted this video yesterday, and this guy commented today. It says, you better go back in and treat the stumps, otherwise you're going to have a mess. Okay, I I get it. But first of all, don't tell me I better do something, because that's just not. I don't like that. Maybe make a suggestion, right? But don't tell somebody you better go do this, you better go do that. You
It's
don't
not.
know this.
Yeah, he don't know what's happening.
You don't know what's happening. So, first of all, it wasn't so many beech trees to where it's going to overtake the entire forest. I
Right.
want the stump sprouts. The deer hammer the beech tree stump sprouts. They hammer the maple stump sprouts.
Hmm.
I wanted that woody browse in the situation. I mean, you're in central PA. This is in western PA, west central PA. Dude, I mean, the winters are harsh.
We need to browse.
Snow. I mean, that place gets snow. I mean, you get snow, cold. I mean,
It's
it's
supposed to
bitter.
snow again this week, I heard.
I
This
know, and that's why I wanted these stump sprouts. Deer eat woody browse, so I get situations where, okay, if you go into a complete timber cut, a complete clear cut, in 5, 7 years, you're going to have a freaking mess,
Yeah.
a mess that you need to maintain. Okay. The 10 beech trees that I cut down,
Right.
my
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it ruining my, property. And if
No,
okay, and if it gets to a point where the stump sprouts start getting above the deer's reach, I can go back in and maintain that.
just go flush cut it
Yeah.
again.
It's just
Right.
a small bedding area. It's not like I clear cut or cut 100 trees out of 70, you know what I mean, 70 acres, to where in 5 years I'm going to have a heck of a time maintaining it. Each property and situation is different. For instance, I'm going to South Central Virginia this weekend, or this week. I leave tomorrow. And when I talked to the landowner on the phone, they're from North Carolina, and he said he loves clear cuts. He said down in North Carolina they clear cut 80 acres, 100 acres, and they absolutely love it. Deer flood the area. And his goal, he told me, he won't even be there. I'm walking with his son. Um, he wants a minimum out of these 300 acres. He wants a minimum of 80 acres clear cut. That's what he wants. He said, I don't want you to come out unless you're not going to at least give me 80 acres of clear cut.
Wow.
So I have to work within his goals, and I can talk, you know,
So he just wants you to lay out an area that you think 80 acres should be cleared.
Yes, he
out
wants.
of that 300-acre
Yes, it
piece.
doesn't have to be continuous. It could be separate
Oh, okay.
spots,
Okay.
but he just wants a total of 80 acres clear cut, and
Okay.
he wants me to tell him where to do that. Obviously, we're doing a whole plan, but the
Mhm.
clear cut, he just wants to know where it goes because he has friends that are foresters and they can come in and clear cut it for him.
Okay.
I said that's fine. So I'm going to work with them on the entire property and designing, this and this food plots and everything else. But um, uh, that's just my rant is that everybody does something differently. Don't tell. I'm not going to tell you. Well, I might tell you because we're, friend. We joke around, but somebody you don't know, like, don't tell them they better do something.
Right, right. Yeah,
Every
well,
person,
they don't know your situation.
they don't know, man. That's why I think people have
They just have
one
this that yeah, one-track mind.
one
It's
track minds of
preconceived.
something. Yes, something they did, and they think that it applies to every single person.
Yeah.
It does not, and it bothers me so bad because it's in everything. Food plots, it's in baseball, football, it's in this, it's in that, it's in. I mean, you could go outside walking, and somebody's going to tell you you're doing it wrong.
Mhm.
It's just, it's crazy, and I'm not bashing this guy. I don't know this guy, but it's just,
You just can't please everybody and,
no,
you know.
and yeah, and it's like, yeah, I made a video about a bedding area. I gave an update on the bedding area. I showed all the browse regrowing, what trees I was cutting, the sunlight coming in. And then still you get somebody that
Yep.
says, you better go back and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
No, like, relax. It's not your problem. Who cares? If it overtakes my forest, what's it care? What do you care?
Yeah.
Doesn't affect you. I get it. And he could have been just making a suggestion and maybe I was taking it wrong. I don't know, but Um, I just don't like when somebody says, "You better do this,"
Yeah. Yeah.
because you know what? If somebody tells me I better do it, I'm gonna do it even more.
Well, you better wrap it up, Dave.
We are. So, all right, yeah, we'll wrap it up, and next weekend I'll cut more beech trees. So,
Ugh. Well, you
anyway,
better treat them stumps then.
I know, gotta treat them. Um,
You better.
I will. That's all I got.
Uh, that was 67. See ya.
Beech tree.